Level design in Doom 2 is very hit and miss. I've already made a video discussing that very topic, but I feel there's one level in Doom 2 which, even by the game's meandering level standards, somehow manages to collapse under the weight of its own poor construction. If you go looking online, you'll find plenty of gamers over the year who've come to resent this level, outright despising it in some cases for its meandering design, weird encounters and general lack of polish. Some people like it though and feel it's quirky and interesting, a unique outing among the tech bases and earth bases of Doom 2. The map I'm going to be talking about here is Map 21, the first hell level in Doom 2, Nirvana. Nirvana for me has always been a very forgettable level. To say it's the first level that introduces Doom 2's bigger hell outings, it really says a lot about the experience that it doesn't leave that much of an impression at all. Now in Nirvana's defense, it isn't a stupidly long level. Its brevity and lack of annoying gimmicks is welcome, and while I feel some parts of the level are bad, there are some brief moments within that are fun and interesting in their own space. I'm mainly referring here to the section with the Spectres, Shotgunners and Revenants, which I feel is pretty intense if you're pistol starting. It's an interesting space and one that directs the enemies in a way that they usually aren't in Doom, and I kinda like that. But outside of that brief compliment, I don't find much to like with Nirvana. I personally prefer levels that tell a story, and in the case of a lot of Doom 2's levels, even the ones that fall short attempt to tell some kind of story in the way they're constructed. Showcasing this is Downtown, a mixed bag for sure, but at least it makes clear what the intent is from the word go. Nirvana doesn't do this. Nirvana is a mishmash of various ideas and themes thrown together in a very chaotic and very unappealing way. I think its biggest crime though is that it abuses teleporters. Teleporters in Doom are very useful tools, but they also need to be wielded very carefully. Poorly placed teleporters can not only confuse a player but also destroy the flow of a level. In Nirvana's case, the teleports move you around so viciously that most players have no idea where they're going or where they're coming from. It leads to the level feeling more like a series of interconnected rooms that were randomly created and then stuffed together. It doesn't make the level any fun to explore. When you enter the level, you're in this area with all these human buildings and a ton of medkits for some reason. Then you get teleported to this industrial looking area, which doesn't feel the same as the previous section. Then you get teleported to another section that has this weird staircase that you have to lift up, and then this other weird staircase that has all these enemies on it. Then you have to go to this square room where there's a ton of enemies who are on top of you within seconds, and there's no distinctive features or interesting things to note here. It's literally just a square room. Then when you grab the key and head back to the starting area, you get teleported to this underground cavern filled with pillars and enemies, and there's a lot going on in this space. The texture work in this area is absolutely all over the place. Are we underground? Are we near where we were just now? Is this meant to be close to where we were? The level has no floor, and so this area just feels completely out of sync with everything that we've seen so far. And the thing is, I can already hear the comments from the comment section from people who actually like this level. It's abstract and it's meant to be confusing. You're passing from Earth through to Hell and it's meant to be disjointed. And the thing is, I see what you're saying, but there's abstract and then there's obtuse. I feel that of all the levels in Doom 2, Nirvana has this sense of not knowing what it wants to be the most. There's a collection of different ideas here, but they don't form into a cohesive level. It literally feels like these levels were all created in isolation and then teleports were used to interconnect everything. That does not make a good level, it just makes a confusing, meandering mess. The way that I would fix this is to spend more time forming these loose ideas into something more coherent. I think it could have been done if Doom 2 hadn't been an absolute crunch fest, but this is also why I don't blame Sandy too much for this situation. He was handed the task of creating all these levels for Doom 2, and unfortunately the nature of time crunch means that there's only so many hours in the day. Not all levels are going to come through that process desirably, and unfortunately for Nirvana, it comes out a bit of a mess. But that argument falls apart slightly when you glance at the beta files John Romero released a few years back and see that Nirvana is pretty much a one-for-one to its final release version. Well, except for this soul sphere here. It makes you wonder if this was the intent all along, or if the idea was to come back, replace, or even fix the level, and this never came to pass. I just think the decision to have a level like this as the first Hell outing is very odd. It doesn't showcase Hell in its best form, and frankly, it's just not that much fun to play. It feels like a series of rooms designed to throw random things at the player, and very rarely does it come together. Let's not even talk about the misaligned textures that are dotted throughout the level, or the situation with the keys, where you can skip some of the bars and make it to the end of a level without even having to complete most of it. I always applaud experimentation in Doom levels, but with Nirvana, I always find myself disappointed and generally frustrated. It feels like an awkward first step into Doom 2's version of Hell, and considering how unique and interesting some of Doom 1's Hell levels were, it just comes off as half-baked. I don't really like this level all that much. It's a level I try to get through as quickly as possible when I'm playing through the game, and while I understand some people see the beauty beneath, it does feel to me like this level should have spent a bit longer in the oven. But I figured I'd play through the level and give a more directed critique of the aspects that I don't like in this one. Before I dive into the level fully, I just want to kind of set the tone here, because when you complete the previous level, you're outright told in a text blurb that you are going to hell. So when this text screen disappears, you're expecting to be in hell. So the next thing you see is this square room here with a bunch of human-looking buildings surrounding you, and it really makes me wonder, why are we still on Earth? It really does feel like we haven't really gone anywhere. We've just kind of dropped into what is another city area. If we're doing the whole corruption thing where Earth's being corrupted by hell and the portal on the other side has some buildings from Earth, grand. But why is it that this level doesn't stay consistent with that theme at all? Because looking around this room here, it's just a big cavern. And like I said, you come through this teleporter here, and again, the theme changes. So already in the space of the opening 30 seconds here, we've been kind of whiplashed among all these different kind of themes and ideas that the level wants us to explore. What is hell in Doom 2? Well, apparently it's a mishmash of all these different ideas. We're on the white sort of marble floor here, which was used in Doom for hell in the first game, so clearly, like, you know, we are approaching hell here. But I kind of don't understand, like, what is this space in relation to where we were just before? Is this the same area? Are we being teleported across hell? It's not really made clear, and it's one of those things that really damages this level. Now, I do love these encounters with the Revenants and the Shotgunners here. I love the fact that the circular area in the middle makes the enemies kind of wander around in sort of a more meandering approach. It really is probably the best part of this level, in my opinion, because it's definitely interesting. But you can just kind of see, like, we're going between all these different spaces, and again here, another sort of space. This is the fourth theme that we've kind of come into in this one. Just checking if there's any secrets. I always forget the secrets here. I also think this staircase is hilarious because you can technically break it and have to start the level over again, which, you know, hooray for that. But what exactly is this space? What are we looking at here? I understand that Doom is supposed to be an abstract game in terms of level design, but you feel like there's no consistency in this level. Where are we? What are we doing here? Now, when you're looking around here, you would not place this among any of the spaces that we've been to already in this level. And yes, there's the misaligned textures. They are interestingly hidden by the sort of shading on the wall, but trust me, when you pay attention, it's there. But when you hit these switches at the bottom, you find out that this is actually connected to that area we started in. Like, what is this space? How is all this connected? What's the theme here? There isn't one. It's just a mishmash of rooms that have been kind of put together. And then we go into this room here. Like, what is this space? Is this supposed to be another cavern? Is this supposed to be a space that's in hell? Because this doesn't look like it's in a hell space. It looks very much like we're very much still on Earth. We've already been in Doom's version of hell for 2 minutes here in Doom 2, and we've seen so many different themes, so many different ideas, and none of them mesh together. And what's really frustrating is there are ways they could have made this work. They could have tied everything closer together. So from a visual standpoint, this level is just insanely disappointing. But in terms of gameplay, I just find the overuse of teleporters to be really, really frustrating. Like, you really have to sort of memorize where all these teleports go, because otherwise you're just gonna kind of end up circling back on yourself a lot. And I think that's one of the frustrating things with this level. There's crumbs of good ideas here, but it all kind of falls apart, and nowhere does it kind of fall apart more than in this space. Like, I could write a whole video essay about this room. The fact that the roof here is this weird red rock texture, the fact that we've got the green toxic sludge down the bottom, these pillars, the white marble that sort of lines the outside here, And why are we on this floor here that doesn't feel like anything from hell, but feels like the bases we've been kind of wandering around? And why is it all lined with marble around the outside underneath it? Like I said, there's just no consistency in the theming in this one. And some people are going to say, well, that doesn't really matter. It's a Doom 2 level. Sure, but even in Doom 1, even the worst of the hell levels had, you know, a consistent theme. And this level just completely sort of falls apart under that weight. I genuinely do not understand why some of the decisions were made here. Like, why not have this set outside? If you want this to be sort of seen as hell, why not just have the outdoor skybox? Why not make it feel like you're in like a big pit or something? Because this just feels like you're in a random room in like some random cliff face. I do kind of like the challenge of this space, don't get me wrong. I think that this is actually a pretty fun space to kind of come through and kill all the enemies in. But it's just so off-putting visually, and I don't like to be overly critical of these like 1994 levels, because obviously they didn't have the benefits of like decades of Doom level design philosophy to sit back on, but it did have the philosophy from Doom 1, and I have to say, this is kind of worse than all of the hell levels in the original Doom game. Like, even Hell Keep, which I'm not a big fan of, you immediately knew you were in hell. But just looking around the level, you knew you were in hell. The texture work in this one, the layout, it's just so kind of meandering and such a weird sort of avant-garde approach to level design that it just doesn't work. Like, if you took this level and showed it to someone who'd never played Doom and said, where's this? They're not going to say hell to you. They're probably going to say a quarry on Earth, which we just left. It's kind of mildly infuriating. And then you kind of get this, where you don't even need the blue key to come in here. And I know that there's speedrunning techniques to get through the red bars. Sadly, I am not at that level of Doom playing. But yeah, there's just so much about this level that doesn't make sense to me. And then when you do get through this teleport here and you're about to finish the level, we get to go back to this aesthetic. Like, why? What are we doing here? Why is this here? Why is this not the white brick we just saw? You could have done so much with this space to just make it look a bit like hell. Why is this here? Why not just have that as the exit teleport if you weren't going to do something interesting? Again, I just feel like a lot of the decisions in this level could have been easily ironed out if another 3 or 4 hours had just been given to designing and making this level feel more coherent. It's such a frustrating mess for me, and I hate that it's the first hell level in Doom 2 because it really sets a bad tone for what's to follow. I would love to hear your thoughts though. Do you disagree with me? If you disagree, that's absolutely fine. I know some people really like this level, and I know that some people really hate it. So I'm very keen to hear what people think in the comments.